to do my research project on the legal status of gay, lesbian, and bisexual teachers. For my presentation, I use the acronym GLBT, which means gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered, but my research focused on gay, lesbian, and bisexual teachers. The rights of transgendered employees was out of the scope of my research. I chose to address this topic because I found this to be a taboo subject even in university. Since 1969 and the riots at Stonewall, gay rights have been on the move and they've been at the forefront of national news. It was a big issue in the news here in Utah over the winter. Gay marriage is the big issue that's facing Utah right now. There have also been a few bills presented at a federal level and a local level to bar discrimination of gay and lesbian employees. The Employee Non-Discrimination Act passed the Senate, and House Bill 100 in Utah was stalled in committee. It has been for a couple of years. Both of these would bar discrimination based on sexual orientation. House Bill 100 in Utah would also go further to bar discrimination in housing because if somebody is gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgendered. So as it stands right now, in 29 states, it's still legal to fire a GLBT employee because they are gay. Most states are at-will employment states, so unless you have a protected status, your employer can essentially fire you for any reason. Obviously, there are due processes that have to be followed, and different corporations have different rules. As an educator, I've noticed that there are administrations and teachers that are concerned about the bullying of GLBT students, and some school districts are transitioning in their policy on bullying to protect GLBT students specifically. So this just left me wondering, where do GLBT teachers stand? Do they have any rights in schools? What approach should districts take? I wondered if there is even any case law on this subject. What I found in my research is there are a couple of reasons used to justify the termination of gay and lesbian teachers. The first one is the idea that teachers are an example and role model. They should be held to a higher moral standard than the average private sector employee. And traditionally, homosexuality has been considered and is still in many communities considered abnormal, deviant, and immoral. And so teachers have been fired for this category. It made me wonder about morality. I know what morality means to me, but I wondered if it had a legal definition, and indeed it does. Courts have said that morality is determined by the community in which we live. That means obviously that it's subjective and it changes over time and it depends on where you are. As perceptions of GLBT people have started to change, school districts have gone on the offense. Utah is one of many states that have what Glesson deems as, quote, no promo homo laws, where schools cannot use any curriculum that portrays gay and lesbian people in a positive light or discusses them at all. So a health teacher couldn't talk about the high percentage of teenagers that try to commit suicide because they're gay or lesbian. Some schools have gone so far, some states have gone so far as to say that school districts cannot specify GLBT and anti-bullying policies. Other states have tried to push laws that protect bullying of GLBT students as free speech, saying that they have a religious right to express their viewpoints about those people and their classmates. Previous case law is pretty clear supporting this idea of exemplar, but current case law isn't so much. Another thing that's used often to justify the termination of GLBT employees is nexus, wondering does the out-of-school behavior impact an educator's ability to do their job or impact the school. Lately, and in more recent case law, as long as nobody knows that the teacher is gay, then it isn't an issue. But when parents find out or students find out, schools justify and have been able to justify firing GLBT teachers because they say that it's going to impact the teacher's ability to do their job once all of the students know about them. There was a surprising number of cases related to GLBT teachers. Early cases affirmed the idea that homosexual behavior is contrary and abhorrent to the social mores and standards of the people. That was from Sirac versus the Board of Education. Therefore, there's an obvious connection between a teacher getting fired and being gay. This transitioned to the idea that you can't fire teachers for being gay, but you can restrict their speech in some ways. Some cases They said that it wasn't an issue that the teacher was gay, but once everybody found out, the students found out, it would impact their ability to do their job, and it would impact the atmosphere of the school. In 1974, the man pictured on the slide was fired for being gay, and the court held that he couldn't get fired for being gay, but he could get fired because he did lie on his application to the school district. He omitted a gay rights club that he had belonged to in college. In 1984, the state of Oklahoma passed a law that said that local schools can fire teachers for engaging in public homosexual conduct or activity, or even just advocating homosexuality in or out of the classroom. The Supreme Court upheld the ruling of the appellate court, which said that you can indeed fire a teacher for being gay, but the free speech part of this law was too broad, that you can't restrict teachers' free speech. So we see in this case that it is legal to fire somebody for being gay, but it is not legal to fire somebody for speaking out in favor of gay rights. Current case law has upheld the rights of gay and lesbian teachers. Some cases have protected teachers from harassment from students and from their colleagues. There was a case in Utah where a teacher was restricted from speaking publicly about her sexual orientation, and the court said, quote, "Simple as it may sound, as a matter of fairness and even-handedness, homosexuals should not be sanctioned or restricted from speech that is not likewise sanctioned or restricted for heterosexual people." Now, any cases that protect GLBT people, any case law that shows that they were protected, has been at a local level and not a federal level. So since there's no federal law, basically local municipalities and cities are left to decide how they want to approach it. There are 19 municipalities in Utah that protect GLBT people, but those are states and counties. That doesn't extend to a school district or a private company. In Utah, there are 2 school districts that include sexual orientation in their non-discrimination policies. All of them mention race, gender, age, national origin, etc., but only 2 include sexual orientation. Why should we care about this? Should gay and lesbian teachers have the same rights as their heterosexual counterparts? Bullying is a big problem in schools, in particular bullying of GLBT students. GLSEN does a survey every year. Over 8,500 students were surveyed in the last one. 81% of GLBT students were verbally harassed in the previous month. 38% were physically harassed. Schools are adopting policies protecting these students, and courts have ruled that schools have to protect them as well. Students have won judgments from districts who have ignored the bullying that's happened to them. Gay and lesbian teachers are actually less likely to advocate for students being bullied, that they see being bullied for being GLBT, because they're afraid that if they're perceived as being gay, they're going to get fired. So we have policies in place that protect students but not teachers. In all of the cases that I looked at, there were lots of psychiatrists that were called to the stand to testify whether or not it is harmful to have a gay or lesbian teacher teaching students, and there is no evidence about harm. There's zero. There was nothing presented. There has been nothing presented to say that it is harmful in any way to students. From the point of view of a school leader, we want to attract highly qualified people. We don't want to discriminate based on these reasons. There are hundreds and hundreds of corporations in America and in Utah who include sexual orientation as part of their non-discrimination policy. Among these are Boeing and Lockheed Martin, Symantec, Wells Fargo, even Zions Bank bars discrimination based on sexual orientation. We want our schools to be safe. Faculty and staff have to feel safe to interact in a school. Students need to feel safe, not discriminating, practicing what we preach in terms of tolerance and understanding of other people would increase the safety of our schools. One of the ISLLC standards says that we are going to safeguard the values of democracy, equity, and diversity. One of the praxis standards for ethics and integrity say that educational leaders will motto respect for diversity and treating others equitably. These are human values. Gay and lesbian educators aren't asking for the right to stand up and promote their life or talk about their private life with their students. They simply don't want to have to risk going out grocery shopping or going to a movie or going out to dinner and being spotted by a colleague or a parent or a student and worrying that they're going to lose their job on the following Monday. It is a human value. School districts shouldn't discriminate based on a sexual orientation. I don't think any school district wants to be at the end of that lawsuit, as gay rights have been advanced in courts throughout the nation.